Hello there, everybody. I am continuing my quest for a good aggro deck in the new Rise of the Floodborn metagame. This time I am pairing the same old Amethyst self-bounce package with some steel cards. And the reason I wanted to do that is mainly to try Fire the Cannons to shore up the Amber Steel matchup. But let's start from the top and go through the deck. The same typical Amethyst 1-drop aggro cards in Maleficent and Pascal. Madam Mim and Madam Mim Fox, again here to bounce cards like Maleficent, Pinocchio, and Arthur to protect them, or cards like Maleficent or the Merlins to get value. We have, of course, Pinocchio as a super aggressive 2-drop. Cinderella is here, in part because I need ways to loot away these Fire the Cannons. Oftentimes, Fire the Cannons is really bad. I mean, it's here for Amber Steel, but it's not great against control. And so it's nice to have a way to loot it away. And since we're playing for Cinderella, I've chosen to include some copies of Shift Cinderella as well. Arthur, again, is the most aggressive 3-drop. Maleficent is just a generically good card. 2 copies of Benja. Benja is pretty good in an aggro deck. It quests for 2 and can banish items, and there's a lot of items running around right now in the format. I'm trying 2 copies of Lawrence just because, I mean, a 4/4 is pretty good. Obviously, it's not great if he gets pinged for 1 damage by a Tinkerbell, but he quests for 2 and has a decent body, so I wanted to give Lawrence a shot. The Prince is another really big reason to play Steel in an aggro deck. This card is crazy powerful. It's effectively a 1/4, given that Resist 1 pretty much always adds 1 to your willpower, but has potential to be much better than that. Obviously, low damage things like Sapphire, ping effects, removal spells, Gramatolas, Mickeys don't do any damage at all to this. And, rounding out the top end of our curve, we have the 2 Merlins. 2 copies of this Merlin because it's uninkable, not that aggressive. 2 copies of Hans because he's not amazing, but there aren't a lot of great 4-drop inkable options in these inks. I'm playing 3 copies of Big Beast. Big Beast quests for 2 and just threatens to draw cards. It's really nice to have an aggressive late game threat that replaces itself. And as I mentioned Cinderella before, I'm playing 3 copies of Let the Storm Rage On in addition to 4 copies of Fire the Cannons. Again, this is to try to shore up the Amber Steel matchup. I'm trying to build an aggro deck that isn't terrible against Amber Steel. And I'm hoping this helps out a little bit there. We also conveniently have a huge number of 3-drops to sing it. So it's usually free in this deck, which is nice. And again, 2 copies of the Sorcerer's Spellbook just as a way to close out close games at the end, along with Goat Merlin. Yeah, so that's the deck. A few things about it. A ton of uninkables. This is a dangerously high number of uninkable cards. So you have to be careful with your mulligans, as I've said before in decks like this, because you don't want to get stuck mulliganing away 5 cards and drawing 4 uninkables and just sort of not playing. I think one thing I also want to mention is a notable omission, which is 0 copies of Friends on the Other Side. Now, that's not me saying I don't think Friends on the Other Side belongs in this deck. It probably does in some number of copies, but what I have noticed when I was playing Ruby Amethyst Tempo and when I was playing the Amethyst Emerald aggro deck is that like 4 out of 5 times I was just inking Friends on the Other Side because I didn't want to take a turn off questing or a turn off playing a threat in an aggro deck. I just wanted to keep my foot on the gas the whole time. And so I was thinking about it, and I had been reflexively putting 4 copies of Friends on the Other Side in all my Amethyst aggro decks, and I just wanted to try playing a deck without it to see how it feels. So if I were working on this deck long term, I think that's the sort of card I would certainly try putting back in the deck at some point, just to see whether it's better with or without it. But yeah, let's hop into some games. Okay, on the draw here for the first game. One thing about this list is that there are a lot of uninkable cards, so you have to be careful in your mulligan. I think I'm going to keep Let the Storm Rage On, because it's easy to sing with a bunch of these cards, and then I'm just going to keep ink to make sure that we have something. Hopefully, well, maybe I'll send back 1 Maleficent too. We're looking for a 2-drop. Which we don't find, but We do have a second 1-drop we can play on turn 2. Okay, Captain Hook. A little annoying, but that is okay. I'm going to ink one of these Lawrences and play Pascal. Okay, they don't do too much over there. One thing that would be really annoying is if they played a 3-cost removal spell on one Pascal and then took the other one out in combat. Something like Let the Storm Rage On would be very, very good. I think 1 lore is not worth that risk to me. I'm not going to play into that. Because they could have Smash, they could have Fire the Cannons, they could have Let the Storm Rage On. Frankly, they could have whatever the other 3-ink Steel song is. Alright. Okay, well, I'm glad I made the play I did. Obviously, it's not good for us that we get owned by that here, but I'm still glad. Alright. So what 3-drop is the best to play? I think maybe Lawrence, because it doesn't die to any removal spells. I could play the Prince. The quest's pretty good. Would be a fine bodyguard, but it doesn't actually take out the hook, which is a little annoying. So I think, yeah, I'm going to ink the Mim. This doesn't really look like the hand for Mim, and play a Lawrence. Could certainly ink Maleficent too, and that's probably likely to be my next ink, because at some point they're likely to play A Whole New World, given that they are Amethyst Steel. Interesting. I'm not familiar with what list they're running. I know some people who are playing 0 to Hero were playing that 5-drop beast in the Amethyst Steel lists. Okay, there's A Whole New World. Well, I mean, they have a bunch of cards in hand. They could A Whole New World. It's actually not that big of a deal to me. I like the idea of shooting Hook with Lawrence here, because that's free in terms of ink. Obviously, we lose 2 lore, but trying to maintain some semblance of board control, I think, is a good idea. Now that I know they have A Whole New World, Maleficent's value goes way down. And I'm just going to put a Merlin Goat into play. Something that doesn't get mopped up by Grab Your Sword, which they can now play for free. Okay, there is the Grab Your Sword. Okay, plus a Smash. Not ideal, but it's not the worst thing. I can now play 2 characters on my turn, rebuild my board. The Prince does protect Lawrence from being challenged. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do that again. Okay. Yep, definitely just want to play 2 cards here, I think. I should probably start by looting with Cinderella. Alright. Yeah, I think this Merlin needs to go, because if I untap next turn, I would like to play this beast. And hopefully this Prince does a good job of keeping my opponent down. If they have another Grab Your Sword, that would be unfortunate. We know 1 card is A Whole New World. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. Smash, maybe? Oh, they just want to draw with Rapunzel? Okay, that's totally fine with me. I think this beast is looking to be pretty good here. Yeah, I'm just going to quest with everything. Put a beast in play. Now, if they Whole New World, I draw a bunch of cards, but even if they don't, I'm getting cards here off Beast. It's still pretty tough for them to get through this Prince. Prince is doing some real work here. Mm-hmm. Like, it still doesn't go down to grab your sword. Unfortunately, we don't get to draw off Beast now, but that's alright. Tinkerbell does do a lot, though, against what we have going on here. Yeah. Let's quest out. And then think about what we want to bounce. Maybe Lawrence quests for 2. Prince quests for 2. I think I'm going to grab Lawrence and play Arthur. Because Arthur will be lethal on its own. Well, not on its own, but with any other single quester. Okay. So they start by singing. Happy to see some Goat Merlins. They are pretty good here. Opponent's going to need a pretty good hand at this point. And even then, I think our odds of winning are quite high. It's really nice that Grab Your Sword doesn't take out the Prince here. Yeah, I mean, they can grab your sword, but they still have to attack into Prince, and Rapunzel doesn't do it. Yep, I thought that might happen. They could grab your sword again, which would be good, but alright, alright. Got a win there, and against a tough matchup, yeah, the Prince really pulled a lot of weight there. Okay, we're going second again. Okay, this is not a very good hand. What to do? Well, I'm definitely getting rid of this Merlin and at least one Arthur. I shouldn't need 2 Cinderellas. I would really like a 1-drop. Question is, how aggressive do I get looking for it? I think maybe I can send back another uninkable 3 looking for a 1. Okay, no 1-drops to be found. $57 cards in deck. Doesn't seem like mill. Could be. 64 seems a little bit low for a mill deck. I would guess maybe a Ruby Amethyst control deck. No. Develop your brain. Maybe blue steel of some sort. That would not be great. I don't think we hold up super well to blue steel. Our hand is kind of awkward here. Nope, just a popsicle deck, I think. Is it the Zeph Teeth popsicle deck? Because that is going to beat us. And I don't think there's a lot I can do about it, so I'm just going to play my Pinocchio and cross my fingers. But if they play Teeth and Ambitions, I think this one may be over. Yep. That did not feel good. Okay. Brutal. This is not a deck I want to go second against if they're on this Teeth and Ambitions version of the list. Would have been nice to have a 1-drop too. Like if I had a Maleficent in play here, things might be okay. But I do not at present have that. So I'm going to start by just playing my most aggressive character. Maleficent is obviously only a 1 quester. Also dies in combat to most everything. Yep, that's not good. We have a very, very uphill battle from here, I think. Okay, gonna ink Maleficent. Does not feel like a Maleficent game, given that we have Merlin. Let's play Merlin and quest away. Yep. Be prepared is a threat now starting next turn. For that reason, I might just play Merlin on my turn. I think if they choose to do nothing else here, yep, I'm just going to assume be prepared. And I think that is a reasonable assumption. But I think I have to make them have it. At least these characters get value when they get swept up. Obviously, the issue of not playing anything is that they don't actually have to be prepared. I mean, the Prince and Merlin don't represent a huge clock just on their own. And I really do want to force it out of them. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I only play 1 threat, it can get Maleficent shot down. I think I want to put 2 things in play, and I'm going to ink Cinderella because I think it's too susceptible to be prepared and Maleficent in this matchup. Hades, okay, yeah. Alright. I'm going to start by playing Cinderella, because I can loot. I'm going to loot away 1 Fire the Cannons, which doesn't seem to be at its best right now. My opponent can, of course, Hades attack Lawrence twice if they wish to, with their shield, but that's okay. I can always shoot it down with Fire the Cannons afterward, which would give me something to do with my Fire the Cannons that is otherwise pretty dead here. Ideally, they can't answer the beast. I think worst case scenario is probably like Sing Be Prepared plus Tamatoa. Maleficent would be pretty bad too. Yeah, Maui. I'm not happy about it, but it's, you know, as things go. Okay. Alright, they're drawing some more cards. Yes, 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 of course. Alright. Those weren't bad ones. I think if I have any hope of winning, I have to quest. I think... Let's start by playing this Cinderella. Pascal. It's fine, but I think it's just going to get swept up by a Be Prepared here. They're going to find one soon if they don't already have one. And let's just do it this way. I'd love to find a Sorcerer's Spyglass, I think. That seems like a pretty good one here. Chip away the last few points of lore. Gaston, alright. If they miss on Be Prepared here, it's not so bad. Interesting. That's tech I haven't seen before. Curious who they challenge here. Challenge B stops me from drawing, but Cinderella prevents one lore. Maybe a Queen of Hearts to finish off the beast? Teeth and Ambitions to finish off the beast. Okay. That makes some sense to me. And there's a popsicle. Alright, I'm going to draw. Definitely seemed like my opponent still did not have Be Prepared. I'm going to put... Are we ever beating a Be Prepared? I feel like I should put one more threat in play. Because as is, I mean, they can challenge most of my stuff away. So I have to play at least one thing. And if they play Be Prepared, they're going to draw two more. I honestly don't think I'm going to beat a Be Prepared. So I'm just going to go all in here and hope that they don't have it. If they do, we're going to lose. Odds are pretty decent that they will have it with at least two draws here. But they can sing Be Prepared too, so any other cards they have that can draw are good for finding outs as well. But I think this is my highest percentage play. Hey, all right, we squeaked one out there. Not sure how we did it, but yeah, happy to have gotten there. All right, here we are playing another game with Amethyst Steel Aggro on the play. And I'm happy to see a bunch of inkables. I like the idea of keeping... I think Hans is pretty good in the early game as a 4-drop compared to Merlin. I'll keep, I think, Pascal, Mim, Merlin. Looking for a 3-drop. And we find a 3-drop. Since we do not have 2-drop Cinderella, this Cinderella is looking pretty bad. So I'm happy to just ink that here on turn 1. Okay, popsicle deck. With Owl. Ooh. Did not see that coming. Alright, let's quest. I'm gonna ink second Pascal. Play Mim. Bounce this Pascal. And say go. What is their second color? Don't know, but it's hard to get a read here. Interesting. I don't think I need second Merlin. I wish I knew what they were playing so I knew whether or not it was a good idea to challenge. I'm going to put Bodyguard Prince into play, and I think I'm going to challenge here. That could be a mistake. It might just be worth trying to aggro them out, but it's one lore to take out a character for free. It's not like they can challenge my Mim back, which is maybe what they were thinking when they quested. Okay, blue-purple. So, in the face of blue-purple, I'm glad I made that challenge. They're going to have no way to just do 1 damage to this. Okay. This no longer looks like a Madam Mim hand to me. I think I just want to play out as much stuff as I can. So let's quest for 3 and pass. Okay. Yeah, I don't hate to see Friends. I don't think, you know, we have a super aggressive draw. Friends is maybe not the way to get us here. It's nice knowing your opponent has no sweepers and you can just sort of play everything out and not have to worry about it. And this Prince is doing a huge amount of work against this board right now. They almost have to remove it if they want to do anything. I was half expecting them to play like Let It Go on it there. Okay. That's something. That is something. That's a decent draw. So the question is, do I take a turn off with Hans to play it? And I think maintaining a tempo advantage might be worth it. So I will. Then I think just playing Merlin Pascal is good. Pascal is really good against blue-purple because, again, they have no spot removal to speak of. I think charging Mim into Mickey is maybe good here. I don't want to allow their Grammatala to trade into it, so this prevents them from doing another Mim Fox on their Mickey, which would allow them to ramp for free. Maleficent, sure. Okay, Alice. That could potentially be a problem going forward. Yeah, I think I'm just going to put this beast into play. They could play Hades next turn anyway, so I will shoot this Tala, just so they can't do, you know, extra Alice shenanigans with it. I'm hoping they don't have Hades. They could play Elsa next turn, which would be pretty brutal. Yeah, quest away. I think a Sorcerer's Spellbook would be nice here. Okay, that looks like a Hades, yeah. Yeah. They could now quest and then challenge into my Hans, which is a little awkward. All right. This could be a tough one. Madam Mim. That's actually not too bad. I think because... actually, maybe I should have challenged their Alice there, but because it allows us to protect this Merlin. I wish I had challenged Alice there. I think taking out Alice is maybe worth having one less lore. I just got ahead of myself when I drew the Mim, but that's okay. It'll only ever get one quest off, which is not the biggest deal, and they're not there yet. Yeah, really looking to draw Sorcerer's Spellbook. I've played a bunch of games with Amethyst Aggro now, and I never draw it. I keep putting 2 in my deck, and it's like it's not there. Okay, that Elsa's pretty good, unfortunately. And that turns Alice on if they want next turn. And they choose to quest with Alice. I may have to trade with my Pascal into it. Oh. Okay. I did not expect that. Those were some pretty decent draws, I think. Opponent's going to need a second Elsa. And a second Elsa will probably do it because these things are defenseless, but if they don't have it, they are in some deep trouble. No! Opponent! I felt like we were in good shape this game, but it kind of came out of nowhere. I think if they're smart, they'll quest with both of these. There's no need to challenge this. You can always do it next turn. You'd much rather... Yeah, that was a mistake. Because now they don't have lethal. I'm going to put this in not bodyguard mode. Because they need something else now. Because they screwed up last turn. They would have had me if they just quested with Hades. But these two together are now win me the game. So they're going to need... They're going to need an Elsa or a Hades or a Let It Go. Which they could have. But... something. Looks like they don't have it. One shot at it. Has to be Let It Go. Alright, well, looks like we got it. I don't feel too bad about winning that one there due to their mistake. I mean, obviously, if they had played correctly, they get me, but... yeah, it was a situation where they had to have like Hades into Elsa to even put themselves in that position to begin with. So I feel like most of the time from where we were the turn before they played Hades, we win almost every game. But yeah, we took it down. I like this deck. I think after playing some games with it, the Prince feels really, really strong. Questing for 2 and having resist 1, making it at least effectively a 1/4 for 3 that quests for 2 is crazy good. And having Bodyguard protecting things like Pinocchio, things like Maleficent 1-drop is also really, really, really nice. And I think this deck has a little bit more game against the Amber Steel decks because I did jam 4 of Fire the Cannons into the deck. With that said, it does have problems with not having enough inkables, so you have to be very careful with your mulligans not to lock yourself out of the game by having like 4 uninkables in your opening hand. But anyway, yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see ya.